Scott Anderson is out today. Michael Stone is in today. I am Doug Karsch. This is 97.1. All right, so Twitter question. Mm-hmm. You can follow us on Twitter at DougAndGator971. And we do this sometimes, and we get good content out of it, and we get a sense for what people are thinking. And as we like to say, the best comments will be read on the air. So yesterday we asked the question on Veterans Day. Here's what the whole tweet said. Lions got back on track Sunday with a 44-22 win in Washington. Meanwhile, Philly wins a rock fight in Green Bay, 10-7 Monday night. The Lions are back in first place. Will the Lions win the division? Will the Lions win the NFC? Vote and comment. Best comments will be read on the air. Your choices were in the vote. Win the North and the NFC. Win the North, not the NFC. Lions will not win the North, or Lions will miss the playoffs. What do you think the most popular response was?
Probably the one that I would suggest, which would be the second one, win the North, but not the NFC.
Kang, do you have a guess as to what was the most popular response?
I'm sorry, I'm going to need that poll again.
Yeah, it's okay. Win the North and the NFC. Win the North, not the NFC. Lions will not win the North. Lions will miss the playoffs.
I'm going to say win the North and not the NFC.
Okay. That's the same thing as Stoney, and that was the number one response. 53.2%. Win the North and the NFC, 36.6%. Lions will not win the North, 7.9%. Lions will miss the playoffs, 2.3%. And it's crazy because, I mean, we did a show a week ago. It was the day after the trade deadline. Mm-hmm. And people were rattled. The Minnesota game and no activity at the trade deadline 1 week ago rattled. Now, you know, it's obviously a more popular, people are feeling better about their team 1 week later. And when you look at the context of what's happened around them, there's not a flawless team in the NFC.
No.
And so...
Or in football.
Yeah, really, there isn't. I mean, they're in the mix, right? This Lions team is in the mix, and I kind of feel like that's a realistic ask. If year in, year out, if they can keep this team in the mix, eventually they're going to win a Super Bowl. I really believe that. And if you keep drafting the way they're drafting, and there's no reason to believe that Brad Holmes is suddenly going to stop being able to identify and find talent in the draft, you know, I think this team's going to be in the mix for the duration of, you know, the.
So how will you define duration? Because eventually, although he's still relatively young at 30, they're going to need another quarterback.
They're going to need another quarterback, yeah. And so it's funny, right? Quarterbacks play into their late 30s. Right. This could be, we could still have 6-7 good years of Jared Goff in front of us. And the challenges change because what we don't know that's going to work, it's set up and it feels like it's going to work, is you're able to re-sign your best players and make it work under the cap because you're bringing in cheap replacements for everybody else.
Correct.
You're going to have guys on their first contract for 4 years, and if you're drafting well, hey, you're going to be able to make it. You're going to be able to balance the cap,
and the cap will continue to rise.
Go up,
so if you have to pay more for some of other young players that develop and get good,
right when they decide that Isaac Tesla needs a contract extension in a few years.
Your mouth to God's ears.
Well, it doesn't matter. Like, I'm just using it as an example. Let's say it's Tate Ratledge that they can't let him walk, or Tyreek Williams. But so some of the comments that came in with this, because, you know, a week later, Detroit's feeling way better about their team. Pat writes in, the Lions will win the North. They have payback against the Packers and Vikings coming. Not concerned about the top seed. It meant nothing last year. Rich says sorry, go ahead.
I think we are poo-pooing the top seed a little bit because of what happened last year, and I think that's false. I think whether they'll get it or not is it's relevant, but not. It diminishes the importance of the top seed just because the Lions blew their chance last year. They blew their chance last year because the quarterback had a horrible game and they were banged up. Playing 2 games instead of 3, it's such an amazing advantage. You do not want to just, who cares about the top seed? You can't do that.
So I care way more about them being healthy going into the postseason than I do the top seed. This is why that's irrelevant, sort of. It's not like you can say, I'm going to choose to be healthy and give someone else the top seed. You don't
Right.
get, that's not like a card you get to
Right,
play.
exactly.
You just kind of hope you're healthy.
Right.
And if they're healthy and a 2 or 3 or 4 seed, but they're healthy,
Right.
I'm going to feel just as good as I did last year when they had to buy, but were really banged up.
Yeah.
And there's no guarantees. Like, I do the same thing everyone else does. Look who they're going to get back and revel in it. And guess what? Between now and then, somebody else is going to get hurt.
I know.
You're never completely healthy. In fact, I would say that there is and mark this down, there is a likelihood, okay, that a player that isn't on our radar at all is going to be playing a key role in some key games in December and maybe into the playoffs. That could be a practice squad guy.
Right.
I would also argue that there's a player that's not on the roster that they don't even have right now. It's not in the organization that's going to play a key role.
That's very possible.
I think it's likely the way that this league is set up.
Right.
Okay. Didn't the Packers have defensive backs running pass routes on Monday night? Like the level of desperation.
I'm glad you mentioned the Packers because even in that game Monday night, they lose their starting center. He's probably out for the year, right? I would assume. And they had another injury up front on their offensive line. Every team's going through this. I mean, we can't just focus on, and we do focus on our team, but there are a lot of teams that are going through some really bad injuries.
Yeah. And so we can sit here, and that's why it makes it such an unpredictable sport is I'm not crazy by saying there's somebody that's not in the organization right now that's going to play a key role.
No, you're not
I
crazy.
expect it. We don't know who that guy is. We don't know what position he plays. But, I mean, whatever date this is November 12th. November 12th, remember, we talked about somebody not in the organization is going to be counted on.
Right.
And who that guy is, there's no telling. What position he plays, there's no telling. But just you can pretty much count on it.
But hopefully we're wrong.
Hopefully we don't need that.
Right.
Yeah. That's something I'll lean into being wrong about. Hey, they're completely healthy. No way. Rich tweeted us, the NFC is too much of a powerhouse to bet on the Lions winning it. Can they? Absolutely. But it's the Lions versus the NFC field. I'll take the field. Yeah. I mean,
Yes.
that's Rich, you're 100% correct on that. And quite frankly, give me any team or the field, I'll take the field. Any team.
No doubt. And in the AFC too.
Exactly. Kevin writes in, Sunday's game is going to be a dogfight to determine the top team in the NFC. If the Eagles continue to make calls like they did at the end of the game last night, the Lions could win by double figures Sunday. That's from Kevin at work. Joe writes in, fail, back on track. Fail, get back on track. The inconsistency is a concern. I just don't know. Joe, I would say, tell me which team you have faith that is going to be, quote unquote, consistent. Because I think every team has
flaws. I mean, we love to talk about the Seattle Seahawks. Who have they beaten? If you want to play that game, and then beaten anybody, if I'm not mistaken.
I haven't looked at their schedule.
Who's any good?
To help ease that fans' concerns about inconsistency, though, the Lions have literally just made a change to stop the inconsistency, and that's Dan Campbell calling plays moving forward, and that's why he did it, is because they have to get back into that flow and consistency that they had, and he basically confirmed it, on yesterday's morning show, saying, he's going to continue calling plays, so hopefully this is the right fix for this team to be consistent.
Let me give you something else that should make you feel better about whether or not they truly are inconsistent. What was the stat we had today since the 1-6 start? The Lions have the best record in the NFL under Dan Campbell. They're like 45-12 or whatever it is. That's pretty consistent. And they have the longest streak in the history of the NFL of not losing back-to-back games. That's pretty consistent.
Yeah.
Like you could sit here and say they're inconsistent. Or are they the most consistent team in football? Because I think you can make a case that they actually are the most. They have the best record since that 1-6 start.
Yeah.
And they don't lose back-to-back games.
Here's who Seattle's beaten. At Pittsburgh, and Pittsburgh seems to be pretty fraudulent, right? It's a good win on the road, but they beat New Orleans, they beat Arizona, they beat Jacksonville, they beat Houston, they beat Washington, they beat Arizona, and now here they are playing the Rams. They don't beat anybody who's really that good.
Noted. 248-539-9797. The college football blitz thingy straight ahead. Stoney, I'm looking forward to seeing how you handle the blitz thingy.